Okay, so now I'm going to flip back over and we're going to do the landscape editing next. We're going to change the GS models to the shrub model. So in the cycle, in this case, I'm going to pick on landscape edit. So I'm up here in landscape evaluation. That's what I'm doing. I'm sort of evaluating my landscape and deciding what changes need to be made. And in this case, I'm going to do the editing. Okay. A couple of things on this page I want to show you. One, you can split your image. So if you click this button, it'll put the map on the left and the editing rules on the right. Okay. And so sometimes that's useful. So when I go to pick my Cyrus, I have to type it in, Cyrus 2014, there it is. It'll eventually show up on the map on the left. It's just going to be a little slow, I know, because the internet's running slow. So you can split this map. For this purpose, I'm going to go back to the full screen here because I want to make sure it's big enough that you guys can see what I'm doing. The other thing you can do is these little question marks, these little blue question marks. If you have something you're not sure about as you walk down through these, just click on the little question mark. It'll give you a pop-up box. It'll tell you a little bit about it. Then if you need more information, it'll take you to the help center. Okay, so there's lots of help in here. We also have a whole bunch of stuff on this right-hand side that explains edit landscape. What does this mean? And the blue links will take you to help topics if you need to read a little further. Okay, so in this case, we're starting with that 2014 land fire landscape. And I need to make a rule that says, take all of this fuel model and turn it into all of that fuel model. And in this case, we're going from our GS2 to the SH5. I'm going to make 2 model edits in here. There's a couple different ways you can do editing, and I'm not going to go into the details of the second way, but I'm just going to quickly show you. We have some preloaded rules in here that are based on disturbances. So they're pre-calculated changes based on different types of treatments, okay? We're not going to use this one today, but I just want to show you that it's here. If you want to play around later, you could mess around with it. So if you were doing a thinning or a clear cut, and then you pick your time since disturbance, and it'll make the rule for you, okay? And that's all done by an algorithm that Landfire has built based on disturbance. In this case, we're just going to do it by hand. I know I want to change that grass shrub model to a shrub model. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to use this user created section. So the first thing I'm going to do is very simple. It's going to be, like I said, 2 changes. The first thing I'm going to do is my attribute that I want to change is the fuel model. And I want to say when the fuel model is equal to, in the first rule I'm going to change, we had that little bit of grass shrub and we had a GS1 and a GS2. I'm going to change both of those. The first one, the GS1, I'm going to make that into a GR2. Remember, I want 2 resulting fuel models. So, and like this is all written in the exercise for you. So in that case, that's a 121 model. So GS1, and I want to change that. So I'm going to change it to a fuel model. I'm going to set it equal to a GR2, which is a 102. So all of the GS1 that's on that map is now going to be told it's going to be GR2. Okay, so that's the first change. Add to rules. There's my rule. Okay, and then the second rule I'm going to make, it's trying to think ahead of me. The second rule that I'm going to make is I'm going to change the GS2, so where the fuel model, where the fuel model equals a 122, which is a GS2, I'm going to set that one equal to SH5. Remember, that's going to give us those flame lengths that are in the 8 to 11 foot range, which is what we really need on there. Okay, so I'm going to change that to a 145 SH5. Okay, add to rules. Now I have 2 rules in there. I made those 2 changes. I got to give it a name because I'm changing that data. So I'm going to call this Cyrus RX 2014, because I want to remember I used the 2014 Landfire data, and I'm going to call it SH5 GR2. That because those are the resulting fuel models that I want. And now I remember naming things in here is really important because it helps you remember what you were doing. Kind of like in Behave. Some of you mentioned not naming your runs in Behave, and then you were confused about what you were to go back and find. when you want to answer some of the questions. So the same thing in Nifty does. Be very careful about what you name things. It'll help you later when you're trying to find stuff. Okay, and you're going to say save new landscape. And I'm not going to click that because I've already made one of these. Again, back to being Julia Childs here. Now I'm going to go back to my workspace. I'm going to view that on the map. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to look at landscape. This is my landscape with the changes. Whoops, I need to go to my right folder first and then go to my landscape. And here it is, the SH5 GR2. Okay, I'm going to view that on the map. Actually, the first thing I'm going to do is request a report because I want to make sure it changed what I wanted, and it'll show you that bar graph with the changes that you just made. So I can request a report, create report. Okay, and I've already done that, so I'm not going to do it again, but you guys can just click that button. And let's view it on the map. And it'll zoom us back into our little landscape here. And sure enough, now the fuel models are yellow and this other color. So I've changed the fuel models in here. Okay, different from what I had before. And I can confirm that again, the report thing. So I'm going to go back to the report. And I know I'm going through this very quickly and I'm clicking buttons really fast. And it's okay. Like I said, the exercise will walk you through this step by step. So the report now, I want to see with my changes, let me make sure I picked the right one, is this one, view summary. And there we go. So there's our new landscape. And I've changed everything that was a GS model. A little bit of it turned into a GR2. That was the first rule we made. And the rest of it turned into this SH5. That was the second rule I made. Okay, so now we're down to 2 fuel models. And now I know I can, now when I run my fire behavior, I know I've got a landscape that I am confident matches what's actually out there on the ground. Okay, so I'm going to stop here because I've gone through a lot really fast.